Okay, just a refresher on polynomial multiplication. So let's say we had 3x times 4x. Well, you multiply the two real numbers together, and then you multiply the exponents together. Remember, when you multiply powers of the same base, you add the exponents. So it would be 3 times 4, and then x to the first times x to the first. Well, when you add those exponents, you get x squared. So that's just a quick reminder about the laws of exponents. So when we have a binomial times a binomial, I know a lot of teachers like to teach FOIL method. I prefer you using distributive because on the next problem, when you have two terms multiplying three terms, you can't use the FOIL method. So if you can only use the FOIL method in one situation, just use distributive because the result is identical. So when you're doing the distributive, pretend that each term, one of the terms in the first parentheses doesn't exist, and you just have 2n times 3n and 2n times 1. And once you do that, you can cover up the 2n, and then you have positive 3 times 3n and positive 3 times 1, which is what I did here. 2n times 3n, since that's positive 2, plus 2n times 1. And then I covered that up, and then we have positive 3 times 3n and positive 3 times 1. And then you just simplify. So 2n times 3n is 6n squared. 2n times 1 is 2n. 3 times 3n is 9n. Oh, look it, those are like terms that we will add in a minute. And then 3 times 1 is 3. And then just bring down the terms, but combine these like terms. 2n plus 9n is positive 11n. And that's the result. You're going to do the exact same thing when it's a binomial times a trinomial. It's 6v times all three of those things, and 6 times all three of those things. So it looks like this. Here's a good way to do it. Take the first term, put it on the outside of that second set of parentheses, and then plus 6 on the outside of that second set of parentheses, and then go ahead and multiply each piece. That would be probably a pretty simple way of doing that. 6v times 2v squared is 12v cubed, because remember that's v to the first times 2v squared. Then 6v times negative 8v is negative 48v squared, and 6v times positive 1 is 6v. Now we shift over here. Positive 6 times 2v squared is 12v squared. And then 6 times negative 8v is negative 48v. And then 6 times 1 is 6. And then whatever can be added, so there is, well, there's only one v cubed, so that will come down. But then we have these v squared, so those two things can be combined. Then we have 6v and negative 48v. Those things can be combined. And then we have a constant by itself. So we're going to bring all that down. And the 12v cubed gets brought down. Negative 48v squared plus positive 12v squared is negative 36v squared. And then positive 6v subtract 48v is negative 42v. And then we just bring down that positive 6. And that's all you can do with that. All right, that's it for the multiplication piece.